Whether you believe it or not, gender plays a huge role in everyday interactions. Hi, I'm Keanu Ho. Today we're going to affect how gender influences your influenceability and your influence on other people. Socially constructed gender is the reason why women will need to employ more tact than men in everyday interactions. Male and female influenceabilities are going to be covered in this presentation, as well as their influence on other people and how they get to come to be this way. The article focused in depth on the reason why gender constructs exist and how people have a label based on their gender. We are going to be going over topics we covered in Chapter 1 on interdependence, which is the mutual reliance on another group in intersexed groups as well. Interpersonal relationships rely greatly on gender, and understanding these gender differences can help you realize what communication skills are being employed. The researcher took the basic argument of gender constructs, broke it down, and then talked about how it affects influence and influenceability. Now, it seems that men have more influence, so we're going to look at why this is, and also as well as how does gender affect the exertion of influence onto others. And although it may seem that sex has far more influence, can interactions overcome this boundary? In research findings, numerous studies have shown that men do have greater influence than women. 29 different studies actually pointed this way, with trends following in children, and contributions in men are oftentimes taken more seriously in society. And although these gender roles are there, they're not the sole influence on factors of gender. It also depends greatly upon your audience's gender compilation, as well as parties' dominance, their competence, as well as feelings of community and things like that. Gender differences are greater between opposite sexes, and women have a relative disadvantage when talking to men. So these differences may not appear in certain interactions, and that's because it depends on the context of the situation and what communication styles are being employed. Studies show that in children, unattractive children have less sway than attractive children on other children. As well as with 33-month toddlers, females exerted less influence onto males, with males showing equal influence upon both sexes. Both men and women dislike a woman who agrees with them over a male who disagrees with them, And a woman will have to employ more tact, such as agreement and explaining why they feel a certain way than a male would, just to overcome these boundaries. And gender tasks aren't considered female or male, rather more gender neutral or more masculine. So a male will have more ease in a masculine task and will also show greater influence in a neutral task. However, there is no real deficit there. After looking at this, I had never really thought of how much tact a woman would have to display in everyday interactions, but there is a lot that they have to overcome over a male just because of social constructs, to be taken as an equal even. Women over men must constantly have greater influence, employing more tact than a male would need in their everyday routine. Women's greater constraints on influence are the base of differences between men and women, and they actually perpetuate this gender stereotype. Thank you.